I knew something was wrong the second I stepped onto the porch and felt the heavy silence pressing against the windows. Christmas at my parents' house was never quiet. Someone was always burning something in the kitchen, laughing too loudly, or arguing about a board game. But that night, the only sound was a faint cartoon playing somewhere deep in the house. I pushed the door open. 3 small faces turned toward me, wide-eyed, nervous, confused. My nephews, still wearing their winter coats, were huddled around the TV like they were waiting for someone to explain a game they never agreed to play. No adults, no food on the counter, no presents, just 3 abandoned kids. My phone buzzed before I could say a word. A video call. My parents were on a beach, Hawaii. Palm trees, tropical drinks. My mother waved like she just remembered I existed. "Merry Christmas," she sang. "We're on a trip." Last-minute decision. My father leaned into the frame, grinning like this was charming. "Our gift to you, sweetheart. Easy experience of childcare. You're the only single one left. This will be good for you." I didn't speak. I couldn't. Rage gets quiet when it's sharp enough. They laughed, then they hung up. I stared at my reflection in the dark phone screen, and the betrayal hit harder than I expected, not because it surprised me I had felt their favoritism for years, but because they had left their grandchildren alone so they could run off to paradise and dumped the responsibility on me like I was some default setting. This was the moment I stopped giving them the benefit of the doubt. This was the moment the plan started forming. Maybe they had always been like this. Maybe I had just been too eager to believe. Otherwise, when my brothers got married, my parents practically worshipped their wives. Finally, real adults in the family, my mother once joked, thinking I didn't hear. Then came the grandkids, and my place in the family shifted again somewhere between free babysitter and emotional storage closet. I kept telling myself to ignore it, that they'd eventually see me as more than someone who filled the gaps in their convenience. But people only see who you truly are when you force them to. And forcing them meant watching quietly, collecting evidence. I noticed the patterns. They only invited me to events where work needed to be done. Every conversation ended in a request. All those "you're the responsible one" compliments were really just invitations to sacrifice a little more, and every time I set a boundary, they acted like I was the ungrateful one, the selfish one, the problem. But that night, with 3 kids staring at me like I was the only steady thing they had, I realized the betrayal was finally big enough to act on. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I called the police, not out of spite, out of accuracy. Unattended minors, neglect, abandonment, a clear emergency. The officers arrived quickly. They spoke gently, whispered questions at the doorway. They were better with the kids than the people who should have been. I told the truth, all of it. I showed them the call, the timestamps, the flight confirmation my parents had probably sent in the family chat. The officers did their job, and I let the system handle the rest. Revenge doesn't always need drama. Sometimes it just needs the truth brought into the light. My parents came home 3 days later to flashing lights, furious sons, crying grandchildren, and an official report waiting for them. Their fresh vacation tans couldn't hide the panic. My father tried barking orders. My mother tried crying her way into sympathy. But consequences don't negotiate, especially when children are involved. The investigation opened. The family group chat exploded. Their reputation cracked like thin ice, and through all of it, I stayed silent. That silence terrified them more than anything. When they finally showed up in my apartment, they looked smaller than I had ever seen them, deflated, cornered. "How could you do this to us?" My mother whispered. "I didn't do anything," I said. "I just stopped covering for you." My father's jaw tightened. "You called the police on your own parents. You abandoned your grandchildren," I replied. "One of us had to be the adult." They expected tears, guilt, some old version of me that swallowed pain and smiled anyway. But betrayal clears your vision. It strips away the excuses. And the truth was simple. They had used me for years and truly believed I would never stop them. "You taught me responsibility," I said. Tonight, I returned the lesson. The silence that followed was the cleanest cut of all. I didn't celebrate when they left. I didn't need to. The real victory was a space inside me, quiet, steady, finally unburdened.